couple of quick announcements for our church. We are having a communion service this upcoming Sunday, September the 6th. And so we'd like to really encourage all of you to come out. And for those of you who can't, prepare your stuff at home, and we're going to do a virtual communion. So prepare your hearts and your table. And also Eric Orlando, at the time, our church people, by the time you're watching this, he's going to be in a pretty extensive surgery. So if you can remember him in your prayers today. So, but for Kat and Elmo and Kat, question for you. I think it's pretty relevant. Like, we're doing something like really like outside of the box. At least I feel like it's outside of the box on Sunday. We're having communion like normal at church, but at the same time, we're encouraging our church people to take part in that from home who aren't able to be there. And so I guess my question would be, like, throughout this pandemic ordeal, how has social media like shaped the way that you guys are able to do ministry, like, since you're stuck here in the States?
I tell you what, we have a love-hate relationship with technology. I'm thankful for it. And to be completely honest, the ministry that's been happening in Peru is almost 100% right now dependent upon tech. At least from our part, it absolutely is 100% because we can't go back to the country right now. So it is, even within the country, just this last, Tuesday, Monday, they walked back some of the restrictions. So in Peru now, no one can leave their houses on Sunday. Kids can't leave their houses. They've walked back a lot of things that they had eased. And so we are still recording and publishing our services on Sunday. We have Zoom Bible studies. We're even planning an anniversary service party that is everybody at their house. And we're going to do a Zoom anniversary party.
It's definitely different than what you expect. Like I almost said, it's a love-hate relationship. One really cool thing is, like, I feel across the world, people can try church. And I know that sounds awful, but a lot of times our churches from the outside don't portray a good enough message for unbelievers. And so for us, for unsafe people looking in, they're like, oh, well, I don't mind sitting in my pajamas watching somebody's Facebook Live. I don't want to go there if they're crazy, but I'm going to check them out for now. And so it's been an opportunity. Like, for us, I've been able to sit in on a lot of our Bible studies in Peru, and I don't even attend. I attend the Bible studies. I don't lead the Bible studies. So I just get to be like an observer, which is really nice, and still participate. But a couple of weeks ago, we had 9 first-time visitors. And so, like, that's crazy. Like, to just get on, I said to Elmo, I'm like, who are these people? Did I, like, somehow miss these people in ministry? And he was like, I don't know. And then they were like, yeah, we just want to welcome our first-time people. And they just went around and introduced 9 new people. And so people that would normally work that aren't working now, people that are normally, like, trying out church are trying out churches in more relaxed settings, like Bible studies and stuff. So that's been interesting.
I think it also, for us, is given our people who think that they have issues with getting in front of folks, and haven't led Bible studies or had a role in the service, welcome, announcements, offertory stuff. It's given them an opportunity to begin to prepare and to teach, where we're seeing more involvement with other people, which is a lot of fun. And so, although I hate it that we're in this situation and I can't go back and I can't be with my people, I love it that it gives our church an opportunity to kind of grow and serve. So just like you guys are doing communion, we were actually just having that conversation about needing to do the Lord's Supper. We skipped the last one because we didn't know how to handle it. And so we've got that coming up, and we're super excited to do it. And we're going to be doing it the same way you guys are doing it coming up.
So cool. On the other side too, it's been interesting being in the United States and supposed to be reporting to churches that aren't having church. And so it's been really, I mean, it's been hard because we were expected to be in over 100 new churches. And I mean,
Yeah.
at least half those have canceled.
Yeah.
And so for sometimes it's recording like this, for some it's recording an actual like video at the church, for some we recorded a video with a friend in Texas that we send to everybody. So it's just really, dependent on, on what is going on and what the church needs. But I also think the good thing about it is it's allowed churches that wanted to make changes but were nervous. It's kind of given them a shield to do that. And so we've seen it, churches that were, even on the more conservative side that wanted to change their music. Well, now they can because they have like a shield of COVID. Or, hey, we want to get rid of all this extra junk in our church. Well, we have to because we have to keep our church clean because of COVID. So it's been really cool to see churches step up and move on and move forward through this.
Finding silver linings.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, it definitely makes it, gives you a different perspective on what you do inside the walls of your church when you know that everybody on the outside has the ability to, as I've told our church people, like literally like open up the windows and look in to see what you're doing.
Yeah.
There's a real accountability aspect to that. So now, did you ever think that like on this, it's not a furlough, this deputation thing that you guys were planning on doing, did you ever think that you would be able to or have to have this much involvement with your church back in Peru? It sounds like you guys are staying involved in a lot of stuff.
Well, I mean, yes, the level of involvement was pretty much what we had anticipated. It's just very different than we had anticipated. We were going to take trips back. I was supposed to speak there Easter weekend. I was supposed to go on a mission trip. We were leading our team on a mission trip of the summer. The first mission trip ever our church was going to take into the jungles of Peru. We didn't get a chance to do that. And then we're celebrating our anniversary this month. We were supposed to be there for that too. So we were going to be back in country for those events. And that's frustrating that we're not able to be there for that. But, and it's really great because, we have a Peruvian pastor, we have a Peruvian leadership. They're able to do the day-to-day, which is, I couldn't do that from here. I can't do marriage counseling from here. I can't do, the language barrier is just, it's difficult when you're in person. The cultural barrier we handle well in person, but my goodness, it's amplified when it's over a computer. So it's so difficult when it's over a computer. So I'm so thankful that we have native people, national people in leadership that are helping us accomplish those goals. That really manage the nitty-gritty ministry in country.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
I know. We always we have a solid group of people in our church that I believe are like completely devoted to praying for things that are brought before them. And so I guess my next question would be, you were talking about like how some of the rules or the things had been walked back in Peru. I saw a headline earlier today that Peru was like the like highest fatality rate for COVID. Like, how has this actually impacted your church people?
We took account about a month ago within our church group. And we came up with 18 people about 6 weeks ago, I guess. 18 people that we know that have died either from COVID or from a secondary disease that COVID did. If you don't have COVID, pretty much you don't go to the hospital right now in Peru. So 18 people that have come to our our Bible studies, 18 people that have come to an event we have. They're not core people, but they're people that were on the periphery that were working into becoming core people that I'm not going to see again when we go back. And that's really hard.
Wow.
And yeah, I mean, it is the number. And in Peru, here in America, I feel that, there's a lot of politics involved. It's really hard to get a really honest number. It depends on what source you look at. And it's very difficult. You have to really cut through a lot of partisan stuff. In Peru, they're suppressing the numbers. If you look at excess deaths in Peru, it's more than 3 times what the reported COVID deaths are. So the reported COVID deaths are bad, But if you look at excess deaths, people that have over the normal trajectory of, the 4,000 or so that are every couple of weeks, it's almost 3 times as many in Peru. So they're suppressing those numbers. And besides COVID, the United States Embassy listed about a month ago listed Peru as a number 4 do not travel. That was beside COVID because of robbery and theft and crime has increased, and because of just everything is snowballed.
Because of COVID, I mean, it all boils down to for the first 4 months of this whole thing, nobody could leave their house for any reason. There was no
go grocery shopping.
Yeah, you could go grocery shopping, the doctor's office,
bank and pharmacy.
and the bank and the pharmacy. That's it. That's the only places you could go. So people weren't working. And so when people who are already poor have nothing, and then they have nothing even more so than normal.
Desperate people doing desperate things.
Yeah. So there was a lot of high crime has increased because the robbery, everybody's desperate. So if you try to rob somebody, you could get stabbed because they don't want you to get their things, and so it's just been, it's really sad to sit and watch from afar and watch your people struggle. And then there's so much unknown in it. Like in the United States, there's, okay, are we going to go to school or are we not going to go to school? This is like, are we going to live or are we not going to live? If we go to the market, are we going to get this virus and die? And so I'm not trying to downplay the emotions and things that people are going through here in the United States. It's just really hard to see it on both sides, from both sides. So, yeah.
Wow. So I know, like you were talking about, the questions that we have here in the U.S., like, what's it going to look like going to school? Like, I know Sarah's had probably like 4 meltdowns since school started back up. Yeah. Like the kids have been fine. Sarah's the one that
I'm right there with you.
Yeah. But like, what would you say is the overall like mentality, or heart that your church people have? I mean, I know James tells us that, that we should, have joy in all circumstances, regardless of what they are. Like, how is your church people, like on a spiritual level, responded to this?
Actually, that's one of the coolest questions you could ask, because it's one of the coolest answers I have to give you. Our church people have done exceedingly well, have done really well. I was just talking yesterday with our pastor, and we were planning the month of September. We're going to have guest speakers speak instead of just our voices. We're going to have some other guys speaking, celebrating the church for 3 years, and it was just, they were like, "Oh, that's so cool," and they're like excited, and I'm thinking, this is crap, man. This is. We're talking about a video you're going to watch on your computer in your living room celebrating 3 years. Like, we do parties big. We rent inflatables, and we have popcorn, and we have cotton candy, and we have people come and guest speakers. We celebrate big, and it's like, man, we can't celebrate. But even though they're disappointed, they have been just real, and life has been hard. They encouraged me yesterday. And that's not to say they're not struggling, man. They're human and they're struggling. But they have, especially our leadership team, is doing a really good job.
And we've been able to send back money to our people throughout this time, and just pretty much to help cover basic expenses for food and stuff. What we said to our people is, like, we said, if you need all of the money, like if you need all, like the total $100 or whatever it was that we were able to give them that week or that month, that's completely fine. But if you can pass it on to somebody else, do that, because your family will be blessed by it. And we get so many messages like, today I was able to buy a bag of rice for my neighbor, and it was the first time that I was ever able to talk to them, or something like that. And so even people that don't have anything, in Peru, I think this is common in most Latin American countries, because I've seen it in other countries, but if you have no food, you wave a white flag outside. And so there's white flags. You can't, if you right now were to Zoom with our people and you said, show me outside, you would just see houses all over the neighborhood with white flags outside of them. And so for them to be able to take what's been given to them, even in this desperate time, and for them to still love other people and for them to be encouraged by it, which is like so cool for me to see, for us to see, for them to help and meet people in this, and be able to bring people and invite people to the Zooms or whatnot. It's really cool.
As a matter of fact, last week, Carol, you guys know Carol. Carol went, and she and Pastor Leo and Claudia's Claudia's wife.
Pastor
Leo's wife, Claudia. There we go. I'm sorry, it's been a long day. They went they went door to door, which they aren't really supposed to do that. And they went to all the kids that are in the Legacy program, and they took them like a little gift bag and some school supplies, and they social distance appropriately, and they did all that stuff they're supposed to do.
Wear masks.
And you have to wear a mask and a shield to be outside in Peru. Like that's both. You have to have both. And so they did that. And they went, and it was super cool, just the messages and like, hey, thank you for thinking about us. Carol meets with the kids every day. She helps them with their homework. She's doing Zoom. The kids come together, and again, they're not really supposed to do that, but they do because they don't have enough tech to go around. And they get together, and and Carol helps them with their homework. Our WhatsApp groups are blowing up all day with simple like, hey, how do we do this math question? And this is cool because we're able to like be in the kids' lives. I'm lost because the math is totally different than the math I learned, but I'm like, Carol, do this. I don't know how to do this.
Yeah, but for school in Peru, what they're doing is like here, they're doing it online. Well, in Peru, if all the kids were online, nobody would be online because of the connections and stuff like that. And, even in the United States, you see all these like news headlines like Dallas, Fort Worth, internet crashes due to online schooling or whatever. So they have actually put the kids' schooling on like public TV, like PBS. And so they sit and they watch it. And but they're just watching it. It's one teacher teaching, and it's divided by it's not by grade.
No, it's by like a chunk of grades.
Yeah, so like elementary school, junior high. So they divide it like that. And so there's so many holes. They get all their work that they're supposed to do, but that doesn't mean that they're going to be taught that way. So Carol literally gets everybody's work and reteaches them all. And so it's crazy because she's not a teacher. We're not teachers. But
she's feeling a really great void, and the kids have really just developed a love for her and for the leadership. So I mean, it's not perfect, but I think that I think they're doing a really good job.
Yeah.
That's awesome. I mean, you don't want to get those phone calls saying, hey, your church people have gone rogue, and they're the ones that are out stealing stuff. And
right. I mean, I'm not saying that hasn't happened. I don't know if it's happened or not. I just haven't heard about it. So,
none of them are in jail yet.
Nobody's gonna put in jail. Yeah.
Hey, there you go. That's a plus.
Yeah.
That's a plus.
How as a church can we pray for you guys on like what's going on? How are you doing?
Wow, lots.
So, I mean, with our family, we were kind of like in limbo of a place to live. We didn't. Right now, the borders of Peru are closed till July 2021, and so we were pretty much our meetings are still canceling.
That's the tentative date.
Yeah, our meetings are still canceling, and we really had nowhere to be, like nowhere to stay, and just be comfortable for our family, because people always say like, you can stay with us. That really means like for 4 days. And then like they'll say, as long as you want, but the 4-day limit is the 4-day limit. And so for us, we were really looking for God to lead us into an opportunity that, of a place just to call home for now, because, it's really hard just jumping from place to place to place. And again, the unknown situation, it just really stinks. So we were given the opportunity to kind of fill like a missionary intern role, an outreach intern role at a church in Albuquerque, New Mexico, in exchange for a house. And so we just got here. So we've been here for...
And then it happened really quickly. It was, we've been here about 2 weeks. It happened really quickly. The church is new pastor, and they had no outreach going on. So
And
it started. I was just
but the pastor was a missionary in Guatemala, and he got stuck here in the United States. And because they don't know when they're going back to Guatemala, the healthcare system really stinks. He's like, I don't even feel like I would feel comfortable bringing my family back in a year, let alone, when the borders open. And so they were offered the position at their sending church, which we've been friends with them. We were approved as missionaries with them. And so when this whole thing went down, he was pretty much, contacted Elmo.
It started as brainstorming about, how do I do outreach? I'm in the church, kind of the same scenario you guys, right? You guys were in the church and you're having to adapt to the church, how they've done it and how you feel God's leading you. And so he's in that same conversation. And so I was like, hey, I have an idea. Do you have a missions house? He's like, yeah. I was like, okay, so why don't I come and help you do that while I'm waiting? I've still got a couple meetings, got some things. Let me use your house until I go back to Peru, and I'll butt off and help you at the church any way I can. And they were like, yeah. So that happened on a Monday, and we were here on Thursday. We're here.
Wow, that's amazing.
Well, we drove. Elmo went to. He flew to Virginia. To pick up our some of the stuff that we had in storage there, and Cinco and I left Sarasota, Florida, and drove all the way out here to Albuquerque. And Elmo picked up his dad and drove to Albuquerque, and we drove back here. So it was 2,000 miles.
Wow!
Oh my goodness!
That we each drove. So we
separately.
each drove 2,000 miles.
Yeah, separately. So that's what we're doing. So like today.
On your birthday, right? No.
Yes, it was my birthday.
Yeah. So that's what we're doing. We felt that we needed to be serving while we were waiting. We knew that just because we've been called to Peru, but over that, I've been called to serve the body. I've been called to serve the church. And so I needed to protect my family. I needed a place for my family to call home, a safe, secure, it's a 1,000 square foot little house that they have here. That they're very gracious and we're super excited. But above everything else, I didn't want to just rent an apartment in Philly and just hang out or whatever. I wanted to.
Unfortunately, a lot of missionaries are doing because they don't. A lot of us have been so removed from church, church in America, that we don't really know how to serve. We don't really know how to be plugged in. We are the third culture kids where we don't know. What kind of bread to buy or anything. It's the same with church. You don't know how you can serve and serve well. And so
and today, like for example, we reset chairs in the auditorium, I ran audio stuff, and I'm setting up for a presenter for the church. And so I get to just serve, I get to just do the things I know how to do while we're waiting.
I went on ladies visitation where I am the youngest person by 50 years. So it just depends on, and we're just here to serve, like Elmo said, with the body of Christ, but also just serve God, because that's what he's called us to do. And for those of you who know us, you know that we're not just going to sit around. We're not just going to be lazy. We want to be able to serve. So we're just waiting.
We still have a couple presentations we're here like halftime, on the road halftime, but at least this gives us I have my own bed. That's a big deal.
That is awesome.
That's amazing.
And Cinco's not sleeping in our room like we would in a hotel. We all have our own little space, and it's just such a blessing to and the church here we never met these people before. This was not a church that supported us. We're here because the pastor. We're not here because of the church. And so, I was very leery in the whole thing when he was just like, hey, do you guys want to come? We're like, yeah, we'll be there this weekend, kind of thing. We're just very leery on, well, what if they don't accept us? What if this is so out of the box? Because we do out of the box, and missionaries do out of the box really well. But usually,
sometimes American churches don't do out of the box really well.
Yeah.
But they're loving it. They're so our title, we told them, call me. I'm a little bit better. I'm a little bit not better. I'm a little bit more beyond intern. So when they call me your missionary resident, I'm like the resident missionary. I'm like the guy that hangs out here and helps you think about stuff and outreach stuff. And they're like, that's cool. So that's who we are.
Yeah, and it's an older congregation, and so they love really well. I feel like we have, 75 sets of grandparents, and they are just super sweet. The day that we got here on a Sunday, but we got here after church. And
I said earlier we got here Thursday. We left on Thursday.
Yes.
We got here on
yeah,
Sunday.
and so a Sunday morning we get here, and it's after church by like an hour and a half. And I texted the pastor's wife and I was like, Joanna, why is the parking lot full? Because we looked like junk. We had just driven across country. Like it was bad. And she's like, don't worry about it. All these people just want to welcome you. And we walked into the auditorium and it was all these people that had come back from after church to just like welcome us here. And it was, I mean, it was, we walked in and everybody was clapping. I was like, who are they clapping for? I was like, for us.
That is so cool. So, there's nothing, most people have never experienced that. And I know like when we came to Newark, like we felt that at Newark, like right off the bat. And that is I don't know, I think that's a telltale sign of a church that just has a heart for, whatever it is that the Lord is going to open up. And what a God thing. That is so cool.
Yeah, and the other awesome thing about this church is like this church is a missional church. They've sent missionaries. They planted a church in Costa Rica. John and Joanna, who are the pastors now, were sent out of the church to missionaries to Guatemala. I mean, for a small church, they have a huge missionary budget. And so they are not going to let us be comfortable here either, which I think is super like helpful because there's so many, I mean, we have seen it. The missionaries come back to the States, they get comfortable and they don't get back to the field. But this church knows that we are going back to the field. And they know that we are here for a season, we're here for a time. And I think that because they love mission so much, they're going to love us well, but they're also going to love us when we leave as well. So it's super encouraging and we're very thankful for them already. And
it's way outside the box, but that's pretty par for us. So
that's amazing.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
This is our fireplace behind us. So Alan's very excited about the fireplace.
So it's Albuquerque, right? So it's like desert. And so it's like Peru, it's like Lima, it's desert. And so it's kind of like there's very comfortable elements to it, There's a lot of like walls and security gates. I'm super comfy with that. That makes me like feel at home.
A lot of Hispanic.
I get to practice my Spanish all the time, which is super fun. And so anyway, we're managing both. We've got both things we're managing. We're managing our team in Peru. And we're also managing, helping this church here while we're here. Hey, so technical difficulties. This might make the blooper, I'm not sure. But the screen over there just went black.
It's black.
So
Justin and
Sarah those guys just disappeared.
Yeah, their phone probably died.
It's her phone died, totally. So, hey, no, I don't. I want to talk to the church. I mean, I know we're recording and stuff, and we're going to show this later. It might get cut out. But man, church, you guys have some of the coolest pastors absolutely anywhere. Yeah. We're so honored to partner with you guys and such good friends with your pastor and Sarah. That means they're gone. But we're just honored and just thankful for you guys, thankful for your partnership, and thankful for working with us. And we're just trying to do what God asked us to do, trying to serve God while we're here. And we're just thankful for your partnership. Your support is going to pay staff and buildings and outreach stuff. And I'm just so thankful that you guys are continuing to give the missions and that you guys have such a cool leadership team.
Yeah.
Brock, man, you're the man. We should come hang out with you guys again.
So we are super thankful. We know that they left. The phone probably died, but thank you again for all your support, for all your love. We could not do what we do without you guys. And we know that you probably hear that from other missionaries and other people, but we wholeheartedly believe it. Elmo and I were talking to a church the other night who's been supporting us from the beginning, just like you guys. And, there's a lot to worry about on the mission field. And usually one of the biggest things for missionaries is they worry about money. We never have had to do that. God has blessed us through and because of churches like you. And we're just really thankful for each and every one of you that give to missions. And they're coming back.
Hey, we're talking to your church. So they're coming back. They're back. Thank you. That's what Kat and I want to say. Thank you for your investment. Thank you for serving. Thank you for coming to Mission Trip again. We can't wait to host you in Peru again. Okay, Sarah and Justin are back. Hi, guys. We've been talking to your church while you took a break. I'm not sure what you went to do, but anyway, you're back. And so we'll pick up wherever you left off.
So yeah, no, I had
You guys are the best.
I had my phone plugged up, and but only the phone side, not the outlet side.
That happens.
That's
He was
pretty,
like, "Oh, it's shutting down."
Technology.
Cool.
Yeah. Love-hate relationship. That's what
But
it is.
we just love you guys, and we are praying for you constantly. We're just excited for what God's doing in your lives and in the midst of COVID.
Right?
Yeah.
We have some big announcements coming up soon too. So stay tuned, church. It's gonna be good. I think Sarah might know a little bit.
No. She
Sarah
doesn't.
know nothing?
No.
Sarah doesn't know?
No. Not yet.
No, doesn't know. Yeah, she doesn't know yet. All right.
You need to call me later when it's not on a recording.
It's not on the big screen yet. Oh, it's in the next, I don't know, soon.
Yes.
Some big announcements coming out. So we're really excited about that. But like I hope that you don't cut out that last few minutes. Thank you for your friendship, man. We love you guys. We're so excited to see what God's doing in your ministry. We're honored to partner with you, and I can't wait to come out and hang out with you guys. When it's not COVID,
Yeah.
we can have everybody come to church, have a big cookout, and have fun.
And the other thing is too is like in all of this, it's really cool to see. I mean, to see you guys. Who would have ever thought that we would ever do virtual Lord's Supper or Zoom meetings or whatever? But this is what I was saying, like stepping out of the box, stepping out of the normal, probably things that we wouldn't have been comfortable with last year. We're embracing now because this is how we're doing life now, and just really taking the next step. And it's really cool to see that. It's really it's really cool to see Justin going out of the box.
I was born in a box, and I'm happy.
So under the leadership, like we watch y'all's messages. We've Sarah with the kids and watching the kids services. Which we're not really kids people, but seeing that, being able to see that and to see people who are doing ministry that's different, it's really neat to see now. And so I'm really excited for what's to come in ministries and in life. But I don't get comfortable in this either, church, and because this is not going to be how things are going to stay. So
we're back to normal soon.
Let's get ready.
It reminds me, I saw a hitchhiker a while back, and he had a cardboard sign, and on it said Arizona or bust. And I don't know, it kind of reminds me of you guys. It's like Peru or bust. Like you've got a heart for what God has called you to do, and I think that is the reality for every believer. No matter what the circumstance is, we have to stay focused on, the main thing. And so super proud of you guys.
We're so thankful for your friendship too.
And so one last question, and we'll let you go. If someone from our church wanted to send you a letter, where would they be sending that to now?
We have an address. How exciting. I don't know.
I was going to say, you off your head,
How about this? How about if you message it to us, and then we can put it underneath this so that people can message you and send you letters.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. And Cinco loves getting mail. So if you guys want to drop a letter in there for Cinco, he would love it. So
our kids miss him so much. They keep asking, when's Cinco coming back?
I love it.
He was saying the other day, he was like, he looked at something and he was like, oh, that's Mark. He lives in Maryland. I was like,
cool. Well, we'll shoot you that address, and know that's not long-term address, but it's an address for now. It's pretty cool to have our name on U.S. mail. We haven't had that in a long time. So
very cool.
That comes directly to us. Usually it goes to our missions board, or goes to my parents, and then they catch us at a hotel or at a church, or it's really nice. It's going to have my name on it with only one address. So that's kind of nice.
Very
amazing.
Cool.
Well, hey, thanks for letting us come on tonight, Justin. I appreciate it.
No problem.
Yeah, thank you for hanging out with us.
Yeah, this is something new that we're gonna start doing.
Good.
There's no reason that like all of our missionaries shouldn't be able to do what we've just done tonight, and
Right.
so
Yeah.
That's right.
we're gonna start stretching a little bit, right?
Good.
Yeah.
Good.
So let us have a word of prayer with you, and I'm gonna let you go. All right. Father, I thank you for the Comptons. I thank you for the heart that they have for the people of Peru. And Father, I thank you for the fact that they are not willing to be complacent in the situation and circumstance that they're in. And I thank you for just opening the door for them to do ministry that's just a little bit outside of the box while they're here waiting on things to open back up. And Father, we pray you give them souls for their labor and get them back on the road as quickly as possible. And pray for Cinco. I know this has to be like a stressful ordeal for the little guy, but Father, I know that you have your hand on his life, and we thank you, and we ask these things in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
All right.
We love you guys so much.
Love you, church. Have a good night.